Hi everybody, it's the CC and JT Amateur Hour with Production Values Go to Die. I'm JT, I hope.
And I'm CC.
And I'd like to welcome you to this week's version of the CC and JT Amateur Hour where production values go to die and the start of the NFL season. Go Raiders.
Woo.
That's all. Woo, go Raiders.
And I am wearing a Supernatural t-shirt.
Supernatural. We got lots of things to talk about and a little time to get there, but we're going to start off by sending our love and wishes and strength to the folks who are touched by the Davis Creek fire here in northern Nevada, which basically has northern Nevada shut down, or at least the corridor between Reno and Carson City, and that's a significant shutdown for folks.
It's not good. We've had a pretty decent summer so far on the fire front. We know that California definitely had their share of large fires, and Oregon also, I believe. But here we go. This one is pretty close to home, and like JT said, we do send our best wishes out to everybody in the affected areas. We hope you're safe.
Some other things we could talk about real briefly, and we don't have it handy, but we did have a book release this week.
Yes.
And so Serving Salvation is in the hands of people that were eager to get it, and if you want it, it's just check out the link on our website at www.carsonhume.com. Woo!
Yay!
Yay! And the sequels are in our production schedule, as are the prequels. And CC has some really quick news. I think we've talked about it before, but we'll talk very briefly about the Virginia City book that's going to be that's in your queue.
Oh, I was going through some old files the other day and came across a draft that I completed 12 years ago. So it's been sitting in the drawer for a little while, but it will be a romance. It is paranormal, but with historic elements, so it ties into what I'm doing.
So
it's actually probably going to be the first in what I'd already planned to be a 5-book series. So that now may be a 6-book series. It's Restless Spirits. So working on that one, we're calling it the Virginia City Ghost Book for the moment until we just decide on another name for it. But it is in the queue. It's probably on its 3rd draft at this point. So it should be coming up maybe later this fall into the winter.
Yeah, we have a lot of books in our queue right now. We've got a lot of things going on because CC has at least 2 books. We have a book that we wrote together on a big trip that we took across America, which we call it the Big Ass Trip. Woo! And so that's coming out soon. And then, of course, as I said, got the series of dealing with Serving Salvation and the prequels, and I have another book out on top of that. So yeah, we're kind of nuts right here, right now. Our production schedule is just filled up, and we're so excited about it. And that doesn't even count the 3rd Sheriff book. And that's a good segue. Yeah, I got to get to the 3rd Sheriff book, and that's a good segue to talk about what's exciting about the Sheriff book, and that's all CC's fault. So, CC, let's talk about the 3rd Sheriff book. I mean, the 1st Sheriff book.
So the 1st Sheriff book will be available in a bookstore in Sparks, Nevada called the Depot Bookstore. It's affiliated with the Sierra Arts Foundation and the Sierra Arts literary community. So we have gotten the go-ahead to drop off the books. They're ready to go. Once the roads open up to get to Reno, we will be dropping those off. There will be a couple of those books. So if anybody is in northern Nevada, if you're in especially the Reno Sparks area, maybe go to the Depot Bookstore. There are a wide variety of Nevada authors already there. Check out their books. Check out JT's book, and should be there very soon. If not this week, maybe in the next couple of weeks.
And that's not the only place where it's going to be on the shelves, but we're not going to talk about the other places that may be because those haven't gone final yet. Yes. So exciting times. Okay, last thing we're going to talk about very quickly, unless, CC thinks of something, which is always the case, is that we went to Kaboom yesterday.
Yes, KaboomCon.
KaboomCon. That was fun.
That was fun. It was the first of what we're hoping will become an annual event. It was a little pop culture convention here in Carson City, Nevada. And it is actually, it was bigger than we expected, I think. It was held at our local community center. So I don't know, in the future, they might actually need more room because parts of it were in the gymnasium area, parts of it were in the theater, parts of it were actually in the front lobby, and there were parts out in the parking lot. So, depending on how things go, they may have to move to a different location, but the turnout was good. They did have cosplay, which was interesting. We ran into a Ghostbuster and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man I ain't afraid of no ghost, but a lot of our local authors were there. We talked to a few of those. We got to see a lot of craft booths. There were a couple of pretty well-known comic book artists, which was kind of a surprise for a first-time convention. I thought that was great for them, that they were actually able to get those big-name comic book artists. I can't think of their names off the top of my head, but we can probably look them up on the schedule. So it was a fun event. It was close to our home, so we were able to just wander over there. That was great. And it's hopefully in the future, they'll just keep attracting more and more people, and we'll have our annual pop culture convention here in Carson City. It was a lot of fun.
See, we've been busy. September is just chock full of events for us. And I guess I should mention also that it's something that isn't going to happen is the podcast next week. Next week we're going to be taking a break because Cece will be out of town taking care of things. So we will be separated. So I will be running around the house with scissors and, chewing gum with my mouth open, the whole thing,
Well, we won't be doing the podcast on Sunday, but it's always possible we might do one during the week.
Yeah, we might do one, and we might delay it because Cece will be back in town a week from Monday, so it may just be delayed. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking for the podcast at its regular scheduled time on Sunday, it's not going to happen.
And we didn't say, I don't think, that today is September 8th, 2024.
Yep.
So that will be the September 15th episode. We'll not be on September 15th. The next episode may be in flux.
Yep. So just a programming note for folks that are just, on the edge of their seat waiting for these podcasts. Somebody is one. There must be somebody.
Well, and the other thing related to our podcast is that I am still nominated in the Women in Podcasting Awards. The voting period is still open until October 1st. So the information about that is also on our website if you want to check it out. And I know several people have already voted for me, and I appreciate all your votes and support. And that's also something that's exciting for us. So we're having a really busy and fun time here at the worldwide headquarters.
Yeah, retirement is not boring, no matter what they tell you.
No.
And just to loop back very, very quickly to the Women in Podcasting Award, looking at the people that are nominated, there are some really, really talented folks out there in the podcasting business. So please check out the link. If you're so inclined, please vote for CC. But even if you're not inclined, just take a moment to breathe in the excellence on that webpage. That includes CC. But breathe in that excellence. It's just really amazing how diverse and how interesting, the podcasting team is out there. And so, well done, everybody.
There are a lot of very interesting categories. Our podcast is nominated in the authors and books categories. I always get it twisted, so I think that's the correct one. But there are professional, there are mothers, there are just women in various aspects and various walks of life. So it's a lot of really good information. Just if you want to check out, if you're looking for a new podcast, go on there and see who's available. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, kudos to everybody. It's just very, very, very cool. Okay,
fun.
We're going to have some fun here on the podcast, unless CC can think of something else, because I always forget something.
No, I think we're good.
Okay, so we're going to have some fun with the podcast tonight, and as you saw advertised this week on the social media and advertised in this blog post, we're going to talk about three truths and a lie. I got it backwards. We're going to talk about three truths and a lie. We're going to talk about, you're going to learn a little bit more about Cece and me, about who we are and how we became writers. So what we're going to do is we're going to just run down a list. We're going to run down the list each. We're each going to read our lists, three truths and a lie. And then we're going to circle back around and we're going to talk about how the truths, turned us into the writers that we are today.
And it might be fun at this point if you want to kind of play along, because we already know enough about each other that we know which one will be our lie. So that if you want to listen to our list and then pause it and think about what you might think is the lie, then go ahead and comment, and we would love to see what you thought, and then come back and watch the rest and see exactly what is true and what is a lie.
And for CC's list, you can watch her face kind of turn red, because there's a couple of interesting points here, and it's like, I'm not going to say that. Oh yeah, you can say it like this. No, I'm not going to say. Yeah. So we went back and forth. So this is going to be kind of fun. And with that segue, let's go ahead and CC. Why don't you read your list first?
Oh, I get to go first.
You get to go first.
Okay.
See, she's
Let's
already
see.
turning red.
I'll try not to giggle too much. Okay, so my list, in no particular order, I was a mistress in high school, and JT is laughing at me. I've fondled another man's Oscar. I was in an adult movie, and if I don't know how this is going to cut together, but his face is actually pretty red too. And I was a mild-mannered reporter for a major metropolitan newspaper. So those are my 3 truths and a lie. And think about it for a second. If anybody actually knows me in person, based on my personality, try to figure those out.
Well, any one of those, even the truth ones are kind of funny.
Oh, the truth ones are definitely funny, and they're not what they sound like. So they are absolutely true, but they're not what they sound like.
Okay, so read through them one more time, just quickly, just as a refresher.
Just the list. I was a mistress in high school. I fondled another man's Oscar. I was in an adult movie, and I was a mild-mannered reporter for a major metropolitan newspaper. What's true and what's the lie?
Okay, and as for me, my first published story was a cat. I spent years going to prison. I almost blew up an apartment building, and sang the national anthem at a ballpark for opening day. So not nearly as interesting as CC, but we already knew that CC is more interesting than me. But
if you think about it, and we did change your list a little bit, so there were some other things on there that, your list is also very interesting.
So let me read through them one more time. My first published story was a cat. I spent years going to prison. I almost blew up an apartment building, and I sang the national anthem at a opening day. Oh, not opening day. It was just a regular ball game. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and talk about your list and take it from the top, and this could be fun.
Well, how about do we want to identify the lie straight off, or are we just going to talk about?
Let's just go down the list.
Okay, so my first, option. I was a mistress in high school. And JT, would you like to take at least, was that true or is that a lie?
Oh, that was true. And actually, I suggested it.
Yeah, that one was all his idea. I didn't think of it. I was a mistress in high school briefly. I was the concert mistress of our school orchestra, which meant I was the first chair, first violin. So I was in the position where the other stringed instruments would watch for my cues. So I was a concert mistress in high school.
Yeah, adjective.
And that actually, as to writing, I feel like learning to work with others and the practice aspect of learning music, I think really has played into my writing, because you have to keep doing things repetitively until you get them right. And you do have to collaborate with others, even though writing can be very solitary. I think learning at that age how to be really involved in something so intense and with a performative aspect, because as we saw when we went to the convention yesterday, there is a performative aspect to writing. So it does play into who I am as a writer now.
Excellent. Why don't we just switch back and forth, and
Yes.
I'll take my story. I'll take mine. So my first published story was a cat, and that's true.
Yes.
So we were in the Air Force stationed at Yokota Air Base, which is a few miles from the center of Tokyo. Mm-hmm. And I was in a creative writing class for the University of Maryland. Mm-hmm. And
Terrapins. Terrapins.
Just very quickly, as a writer, if you have access to a writing class, take it, because I took writing classes at 3 different higher ed institutions. But anyway, so I come into work, like I'm the first one there, and the work center is dark. And I walk by the coffee table in the public area, and I look down, and it's like, oh my God, Nightmare on Kitty Street. What happened was somebody had brought in the student publication that the University of Maryland put out for their Japan office, and my story was right there on the cover, and it just
actually, wasn't it was it the Nightmare on Kitty Street or the Nightmare on Kitty Litter Street?
Kitty litter, something like that.
It had
We
two
have it
different
around
titles,
somewhere.
I think. Yeah.
It was, but it's like completely shocked and completely agog and completely a work of fiction. Completely a work of fiction. And the point of that being is people were coming up to me and saying, did that really happen to you? Because I wrote it from the first person. And so it was a shock. So the lesson learned there from writing is that, you know, not only the shock of being published out of the blue, but the impact that you can have on something that was maybe 600-700 words. It was just really something brief, really quick, and it just I expected nothing like that, but there it was on the front page.
And as JT said, we do have copies of it around somewhere. So it was fun because at that time we were both still pretty young. We had young kids, and you know, it was, when you're a parent, I think having that kind of recognition, you know, aside from work and everything else, it's a nice little boost to the writing persona.
Okay, so number 2 on your list.
Okay, so this one I'm actually going to have to refresh my memory on. Fondled another man's Oscar. And again, this is absolutely true. I have a photograph of myself with someone's Oscar. Michael Szymanczyk. Okay, that's who it was. It was for sound design for Lord of the Rings Return of the King. And I was the volunteer coordinator for the Reno Film Festival. So I actually ended up at the end of the evening. They had been taking photos with a lot of the guests that evening, but as everybody was cleaning up, I had a very nice discussion with Mr. Szymanczyk. He was a very nice guy, and he allowed me to do a photo with this Oscar. So I did fondle another man's Oscar. They are surprisingly heavy. As a writer, I've always dreamt of getting my own Oscar, which may or may not happen, but I can at least look back on my photo of myself holding the Oscar and imagine it was for my screenplay. So,
and I guess as for writing, I guess it kind of speaks for itself.
Yep.
You know, the dreams and everything.
Yes, that dream of you want to make a certain level in your writing career. And I have tried to write screenplays and television scripts and things like that. So it did play along with what I was doing, especially at that time. And that was one of the reasons I became involved in the film festival, was that I was enjoying being around people who were you know, probably not A-listers because it was Reno, but, you know, Michael Szymanczyk, he had just won the Oscar. Pretty, you know.
Big deal. It's a big deal.
It wasn't too far before that actual event, so he was still pretty fresh from his Oscar win. It was very nice of him to be there, so really appreciate it, and it was for a great movie. I've watched the Lord of the Rings movies quite a bit. I actually was watching a little bit of Return of the King the other day, so that was a big deal for me, and it is absolutely true. I do have a photograph of myself floating around somewhere holding an Oscar.
Okay. We're getting close here, so we gotta move it along. Yeah, but my next one is I spent years going to prison, and that's actually very true. I actually spent years going to 3 prisons, and what it was is I was a part-time instructor for what was then Western Nevada Community College, and so what happened was I was part of the prison education program, and I taught IT at 3 prisons here in Carson City, and now I think they've shrunk that down to 1 prison due to personnel issues. But there was a time that I was carrying a full load for a part-time instructor, 3 classes a week. Wow. 3 classes a week, and I would be going to different prisons every week, and I spent semesters doing that. And the writing related thing, and I don't mean to humble brag or anything like that, because this is a writer's thing. So in a writing kind of way, what that did was it taught me about the strength of hope, because these are guys, and it was all male prisons. These were guys that, that some would not be seeing the outside world for a while, but they were taking classes and trying to make something of themselves. So when that time came that they were on the outside, that they'd have skills. And so, we're talking about hope, and we're talking about strength. And, it was a humbling experience. That's absolutely sure, that people who had made, bad decisions were trying to make good decisions. So kudos to them.
And I'm sure that probably helped you with character development.
Oh, yeah, all sorts of characters.
When you're writing about a person, a character, you want them to have a story arc where they redeem themselves. So I'm sure that probably helps you.
Yeah, this guy's the DUI. This guy is the check forger. Well, no, there's a lot more to the people than that,
Mm-hmm.
and so it wasn't necessary for me as an instructor to see that story because I wasn't there to to judge them or to assess their lives or assess their mistakes. I was there to teach a class, and that's what I did. But as CC said, everybody's got a backstory. Everybody has an origin story, and it's that helps. As a writer, that helps me enrich my current characters. Okie dokie. Where are you? Oh yeah, my favorite.
JT loves this one. I was in an adult movie. And again, this is absolutely true. At the time, I had gone to some casting calls with our oldest kid because we were very into the X-Files, and we went down a track. And I got a call. I was working for the state at the time, and they said, we needed extras. Would you like to come in and do it? So I worked as an extra for 3 days, I think. I had to call out of work for a couple of days, which got me in a bit of trouble. And when you're going into a movie, this was something I learned about the process of putting together a movie, which actually would help with writing a screenplay. But everything can be shot out of sequence, and you don't always know where the story is going or every aspect of the story while you're filming it, especially if you're an extra. And the movie was called The Cooler, starring Alec Baldwin, William H. Macy, and Maria Bello. Had Paul Sorvino, had all kinds of great actors in it. And I was in scenes with Alec Baldwin and William H. Macy. And the movie does feature some full frontal nudity. I was not there for the filming of that. I was in the casino scenes because it was being filmed in a closed casino. It was actually in transition between casino owners, I believe, and it was closed at the time. So it was an interesting experience. But when I saw the final cut of the movie, because I again was working with the Reno Film Festival and actually suggested that they screen it at the film festival, and they did. So I got to watch the movie in a theater full of people. And with the full frontal nudity. So JT loves the fact that we could say that I was in an adult movie. It was originally rated NC-17, I believe, and they got it cut down to an R. But yeah, so there's the blush. And it was actually a very fun experience. I did get paid for it. It fulfilled some of my acting dreams from, being younger and growing up on TV and movies. The fact that I wanted to be out there and act a little bit. So I got a little bit of that out of my system. But I learned about the process of making a movie, and later on we actually have a DVD copy of the movie, and I'm looped on one of where you do the scene selection in the movie. I'm looped on.
And to be totally fair, The Cooler is actually an excellent movie, especially about Nevada casino and casino operations. We're not going to give away too many spoilers, but basically it's about a lot of things. But the plot that I liked, that I thought was especially pertinent, was the plot where it was the old school Nevada transitioning to new school Nevada, and the resistance by the old schoolers to that transition. So, and obviously that that's a Steve Wynn kind of thing, and if you're in Nevada, that name comes up constantly. But that kind of thing. The other plots, of course, between William H. Macy and Maria Bello was just fantastic. Just so much quality acting. Alec Baldwin got his only Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. It really is an excellent old school Nevada movie. It's probably my second favorite Nevada movie behind The Misfits.
Really?
It's both of those are really good. Nevada is not well represented because there's a lot of stereotypes about Nevada, but just very quickly, the Between the Misfits, starring Clark Gable, Marilyn Monroe, and Montgomery Clift, and this Cooler. You really get both ends of the Nevada experience. You get the urban experience and you get the rural experience.
And for people who are not too familiar with Nevada, everybody really knows Las Vegas, basically. The Cooler is supposed to take place in Las Vegas, but it was filmed in Reno because, as JT mentioned, it was a transitional movie where it's supposed to be talking old school Nevada versus new school Nevada. And the way Las Vegas has transitioned over the years, there's not a lot of old school left. So they were using a Reno casino to stand in for one of the Las Vegas casinos, one of the older ones.
Okay, so the last truth for us is on my list, and it's had something to do with blowing up an apartment building. And now we're going to go ahead and switch to CC as she glares at me because she's not happy with me whenever this story comes up. But very quickly, what happened is the almost blew up an apartment building. As we were living off base in Japan, it's Japan time again, and I was going to pick up our oldest kid from the bus stop when I walked by, our apartment, and I could smell natural gas. It just overwhelming natural gas. And through a series of events, we were able to gain access to I was able to gain access to the apartment and turn off a burner. And then the local natural gas company, Japan, of course, local natural gas company came by and protected the place, sealed the place, shut down the place so the apartment did not blow up. But they said that during testing, they learned that it was, pretty close to blowing up, like less than 2 minutes. And and so there is where CC didn't actually see me go into the apartment. And so she was pretty upset with me.
I found out about that part later. But just to give a little bit of backstory, those apartments had they had a switch that you would turn on and off to get things lit. And you had to actually light the stove, and the stove was on, but the burner was not burning.
Yeah.
So it was just emitting gas into the apartment. And they also had metal front doors. So if, opening and closing the metal front door could cause a spark, which would have caused the building to explode. So yes, I was not happy about that situation. But how does that tie into writing for you?
It actually taught me suspense. It taught me how to do suspense, people struggle to keep their brains together, struggle to keep their calm together and their thinking together when the world is threatening to blow up around them, literally, or in an emotional situation, figuratively. So it was a good lesson in dealing with suspense. She's still not happy with me. This happened decades ago, people.
Anyway.
Moving
on.
Okay. So whatever's left on our list is obviously the lie. And your lie was?
That I was a mild-mannered reporter for a major metropolitan newspaper. The lie is that I was never a newspaper reporter. The truth is that I actually did work for a local newspaper as a legal advertising clerk, and I also wrote a couple of freelance articles for some local papers. So I have worked with newspapers. I was never employed. Well, I was employed by newspaper, but not as a reporter.
And for me, the lie obviously was throwing a baseball or throwing first pitch, and that is never going to happen.
No.
What?
You said first pitch. No, you were your lie was singing the national anthem.
Oh, singing the national anthem. Okay, so I hope you had fun with that. We had fun developing the list. We had fun developing the writing aspect of it. And we're running out of time here, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this puppy up. But play along with us next time. So think about your 3 truths and a lie as a writer. What happened in your life that sounds interesting? Like being in an adult movie, but isn't actually, completely true. Have some fun with that.
Yeah, actually coming up with this list was fun, and it's looking at your life from a different perspective can also help your writing too. So think about that when you're creating your characters. If somebody looks at, for example, Supernatural, if someone's looking at Supernatural from the outside, they think that the characters may be mass murderers. But that's not how the show plays out. So think about that when you're writing.
Yeah, it's all for fun, folks. It's all fiction. We are fictional literary writers, so we'll do some fiction there. So again, a reminder that next week is we are not on the air, or we may be delayed next week from Sunday to Monday, depending on what's going to be happening next week. But no big deal. We are still out there. You can still head out to our website at www.carsonhume.com. We've got lots of stuff out there, and we've got lots of things going on, people. Join in, have some fun.
And we hope you're having a great week. We're heading into the end of summer and we're almost into fall. So, enjoy the transitional season. Or if you happen to be in the Southern Hemisphere, you're heading into summer, or spring. So, enjoy the seasonal transition wherever you may be. And we hope you have a great week.
So until next week, over here this is JT and
I'm CC.
So y'all take care of yourself. Have fun. Take care.